I'm Will.
I'm Gerrit.
I'm Isabelle.
I'm Caleb.
I'm Kieran, and this is Cincinnati from Scratch.
Hi, my name is Gerrit Johnson, and my piece is A Moment Harnessed. So my piece is about nostalgia. It relates to a time when I was in Spain with my school friends, and it kind of goes to the feeling of when you have nostalgia, you're sad about it, you kind of want to go back to that time, but you have to think about the warmth of that time and not the darkness. So the piece has warm tones for the majority of the piece, and then there's that darkness at the end. And the point is to kind of listen for that warmth in the piece. So with this piece, I think the reason that I chose to have it be open-ended and have high, middle, and low voices is because the idea of the piece is not for a specific instrument to play and for just to have this specific feeling, but it's more so just the warm tones and kind of getting that idea of going back to that time and what it feels like. And I think any instrument can resemble that feeling no matter what type of instrument it is. So the wine glasses were not only kind of just a beautiful sound that really gave you that ambient feel when you use them, but it's also very interesting to me because I wanted it to be something that everyone relates to, because I feel like a lot of people have done that thing. They've taken their finger and put their finger in the wine glass and used it as an instrument, and I think that relates to kind of the nostalgia aspect of the piece. So the ending with the knocking on the instruments and also with the chromatic walk down was kind of an idea that developed because I wanted it to resemble getting back home, and I feel like knocking at the door is very close to getting back home. And also the chromatic walk down was kind of an idea that came to me because I wanted it to be, going back to that time or going back to the present and kind of, feeling that sad feeling of wanting to go back to the warmth. I think that the Cincinnati from Scratch program has changed the way I think about music and creativity in general, because it's kind of made me realize that there's not really one straight path to do anything, and there's a lot of different ways to approach music and a lot of different things you can do with your own ideas. I think people compose music mainly just to take their feelings and make it into a reality and something that other people, can enjoy and something you can share with. I think it's really important that people share their feelings with others, and sometimes that's a lot harder to do in person, but when you compose a piece, it's a lot easier to kind of share how you feel. I think the most impactful part of Cincinnati from Scratch program was how I could kind of take feelings that I never thought could really be part of a piece and take them into my composition. It was something that I thought I would just be a memory, and taking that and bringing it into something that was very impactful for me was a very great experience. Enjoy my piece, A Moment Harness.
Hi, my name is Kieran Niska, and my piece is Nighttime Nocturne for the Stars. My piece, Nighttime Nocturne for the Stars, is about my anxiety as I'm pacing around a dorm in the middle of North Carolina while I'm at summer camp last year. And then the second half is me going outside and feeling this sort of solace uh, within nature as I look at the night sky. So the feelings that I want the audience to experience at the beginning, like the first half, I definitely want this feeling of anxiety, but also in the background, I want them to also know like the sort of like setting I'm within, even though my headspace is a very different sort of feeling. So I want them to feel the anxiety of my headspace alongside the sort of dead quiet and calm of my surroundings. And then the second half, I want them to feel like my sort of calm and almost awe at like this expansive night sky and the comfort it brings to me. The ostinato, it was actually I was taking a shower, and then this popped into my head, and then I worked on it a little bit, and I realized that the interval. So I go up a fifth, and then down a fourth, and then down a major third, and then up a second, and then yeah, it just keeps repeating throughout the entire piece. I think it sort of highlights the calm of the second half, but it also has this almost like, I think it's because of the major third, but it has like almost this like feeling of wonder to it. I've never composed before, so I signed up for this originally because I wanted to learn how to compose, and I think it's been extremely informative, and not only that, but I had a lot of fun using instruments in very like untraditional ways. Like my piece was probably, I wouldn't say really weird, but there was a lot of untraditional elements within it, and I had a lot of fun experimenting around with those and seeing what that was like. And I think it has helped as like expand my basis of knowledge, like not only as like a composer, but also actually as a musician, because I also can sort of relate to like the composer, their process of thinking and how they wrote their pieces. So actually I think it helps all around. Please enjoy my piece, Nighttime Nocturne.
Hi, my name is Caleb Griffin, and my piece is called The Past. My piece, it's sort of called The Past because when you think of the past, you think of good memories, bad memories. For me, back in my hometown, it was all good memories. I was always around my family, and it was always good times. There was nothing to be sad about, nothing to stress about, or anything like that. So, and I also wanted to add a bit of lo-fi into it because I'm a really big lo-fi guy. I love listening to lo-fi. It helps calm and relax me. Also when I'm going through bad times and things like that. So yeah. What I feel when I listen to lo-fi is just blocking out of just stress. My mind is clear. I'm very focused, very, very calm, and just I'm able to get what I need to get done, and it helps me so much that I've always just listened to it every day. So, yeah. My experience, it was very helpful. It helped me learn a lot. I really got a lot of experience with something new that I've always wanted to try out, but I've never been able to find anywhere. So doing this really just opened me up, opened my mind just to try new things and hopefully do more things like this. Hopefully. The most impactful thing and most important was knowing that you have people to help you. Even though it's my first time, I had people by my side to help me and really get to where I wanted to be in the piece. So. The performance in the premiere was very relaxing and relieving to me. It gave me a way to express myself to other people, just show it off. How I felt about my hometown, which is Columbus, Ohio. It was always a good time, always good feeling, so I just wanted to express that and through music. So this program changed the way I think about music, just off of knowing that you can express yourself through music rather than just playing randomly, not knowing what this is about, like knowing that there's always a reasoning or a feeling behind the music. So, enjoy my piece, The Past.
Hi, my name is Isabelle Tardivon, and the name of my piece is Powerless. My piece is largely inspired by global conflict happening around the world. I often hear stories of countries fighting one another, of war happening, of broken ceasefires, and they often focus on the world leaders and what their decisions are doing and how they are making these decisions with other people. But I rarely see how these decisions impact civilians in their lives and the fear that they feel when they know that their country is at war with another one and that they might have to fear for their lives and they don't know what's going to happen next. And it shows how little power these civilians hold, while these world leaders are like flanked by security. They have endless money and power, and they don't really feel the consequences of their actions, and can only hear about them through they don't feel the consequences of their actions, and that hurts me, and I know it hurts a lot of other people as well. And so I wanted to focus on the effects that it has on the average civilian in a country that is affected by war, by any kind of global conflict. The first section of the piece is a retelling of America the Beautiful in a minor and dissonant key. Afterwards, it goes through variations that represent the different effects of war and global conflict on the average citizen. So there's hopelessness, psychological trauma, there's hunger, displacement. And then afterwards, there's a second retelling of America the Beautiful, but this time it slowly fades away into nothingness, and it leaves you on edge, not knowing what will come next. The way I decided when to stop hearing the air raid siren was because after a while, you don't really know what's going on, and in global conflict, there's often some kind of treaty or some kind of peace agreement, but there's still some tension, and although the conflict is technically over, the peace still continues because there's still more to the history than just the end of a war. There's still things that come afterwards, and the effects are still felt after the conflict ends. My experience with Cincinnati from scratch has changed the way I think about music, specifically music notation. When we were in our group sessions, we would look at different ways of writing scores, and it didn't have to be just standard notation. It could be writing with images or just saying make a salad or something. And this kind of notation kind of freed me a bit because I had less borders and I didn't have to confine myself to standard notation. And I did end up using mostly standard notation in my piece, but I was able to use some of these elements in my own piece, and it helped me think about how music isn't always this rigid thing that you have to follow all the rules, but you can improvise and you can make it meaningful to you. The most impactful thing I learned from this program was how a piece is made. I often do it on my own, and so I wasn't able to see what it was like to work with other people on a piece and get other people's input, because often I just perform it on my own and for no one to see. And so having this feedback from a lot of other people was really helpful, and it really helped me a lot as a musician to develop my skills. Enjoy my piece, Powerless.
Hi, my name is Will Oertel, and my piece is called Ambitions. When people listen to this piece, I kind of want to give them a visual representation of kind of like when you're reading a book, as you read along, you kind of get a visual in your head of what's happening. I kind of want, in the same way, to give that imagination when you're listening to it. You can kind of hear and then visualize like the environment, like the magical environment you're around, and then maybe even the character and what kind of adventure they're going on. The ending, it's actually more up to the interpretation of the audience, because there's no clear way that you could take it. It really ends with a bang in a way, and so you could take it as either that's the way of the main character going out, or the thing that they're having the conflict of the way that's going out. I think people compose music as a way to like just like interpret their life around them and find different ways to like explore it and show it off to others, and in a way that like that's like more close to them, like the way the person who writes the music. The most impactful thing I got from this process is to not really throw any ideas away, to like take something, even if it's not very good, you can still do a lot with it. Like when I was writing, there was an idea or two that I was initially thought, this doesn't work, it's not really good. But then after I kept it around with my music for a while, and I thought about it, and then actually a lot of those little bits that I thought they were bad, I found great ways to include them in the final version of the piece. My experience with the From Scratch program was amazing. I really enjoyed getting like immediate feedback on the music I wrote, and so then I could very quickly be able to change my ideas and improve my piece like from week to week. Hearing my piece performed by professionals was amazing. I remember the first time I got sent a recording of my piece, I was like smiling the whole time because it was just like so exciting to me, hearing like music that I couldn't really hear from MuseScore and like it actually being interpreted in real life. And especially the final concert, it was really nice to hear it, especially in like the big hall. Enjoy my piece, Ambitions.